Hello! Alright, all you degenerates out there, this is the topic for you today. So I was trying to sleep Thursday when I was only thinking about the most wholesome of thoughts, I swear. When it hit me, could you get an infected operator pregnant? Could you even do it with an infected operator without getting infected yourself? So I pulled out ye old detective hat and started looking through all the files. So let's get started with the basics of oropathy, just so we're all on the same page. Every instance I've heard of comes down to two basic methods of infection: inhalation or laceration. Inhalation of originium dust seems to be the more common or maybe easier way. I guess you don't really hear too much about random people in Arknights, so it's hard to tell which is more common of the two. Laceration, which is pretty much like just getting cut by any originium shard, which seems to be somewhat common, but definitely not as common. I also believe there is a very small chance where the ingesting of any infected blood has a possibility of causing infection, but there's only two examples of this kind of, and one's warfarin and she's not infected, and Midnight is infected, so I can't tell which one it is, and they don't mention whether Osier is infected or not. On a side note, the reunion did things all wrong. See, what they should have done is they should have just had people running around with chunks of originium and cutting people like crazy. And then if that person got killed, they should just try to have people stop the first responders from containing that person's body and then have it explode in the streets. This would get every person in a several block radius infected. So that's a scary thought. And that's probably how real extremist terrorist groups would work in Arknights. So the last bit about originium is that it mostly seems to be present in the circulatory system. Thus, I will be using the term originemia. Origin, short for originium, and emia, meaning presence in blood. Originemia is common, with a common level being 0.12 units per liter for a non-infected. This level can fluctuate. Surtur, for example, is infected and has an originemia of 0.10 units per liter. Well, on the high end, Ifrit, who has the highest I've found of originemia, is 0.51 units per liter. Now, this doesn't mean you have oropathy. You need to go to the cell originium assimilation, or COA, for that. That is the rate that measures the amount of oropathy. 19% seems to be the highest I could find, also Ifrit. Anything over 10 seems to be of a range of concern. If I had to hazard a guess, COA is permanent, while originemia is what doctors try to stabilize to slow the effects of oropathy. This is why Aya's oropathy is considered worsening at 8% COA and 0.5 units per liter. Well, Frostleaf's is considered stable at 16% COA and 0.35 units per liter. Now that we're on the same page about oropathy, we can move on to the meat of the discussion, and the part YouTube's going to look at me and go, wait, what are you doing? So, say you and your best girl of choice get down and do the dirty, and your low sanity ass forgot to wrap your sapper before you tapped her. Now you have a very mad calcith breathing down your neck and an operator out on maternity leave. Well, maybe. So let's look at the rules I set down about oropathy. Inhalation seems unlikely. I mean, there can't be that much dust in there. But secondly, lacerations seem possible. Now, before you go thinking any crazy thoughts, 1. Yes, I believe it's possible for hardened crystals to exist in that area. 2. There presents the possibility of inside 2. I will say that last one is probably rare, but mainly the other regions of the body, like for example, Frostleaf has the spikes on her upper right side of her chest along with her right arm, or like Lapland's legs. Texas better watch out. So, if you're wondering, I don't think you can get infected having intercourse with an infected as long as you look before you leap, so to say, and are mindful of your hands. So let's say little Doc's in there now. Now, we need to look at the conditions of the mother. Oropathy seems to affect every operator differently. I mean, it helps Province attract a mate in the first place with that big old fluffy tail. As long as the entire lower abdomen is free of hardened orogenium, there should be sufficient space for little Doc. With all of that out of the way, the physical exit should be good barring normal difficulties, if any. So 9 months later, you have a happy little Doc in your hands. But the last question is, are they infected? Quickly, I'm just going to add in that if the female is the one who is not infected, but the male is, I would say that the child is not infected. So go crazy for husbandos. But watch out for Midnight. He left being a host after getting infected. Something tells me he got an extra inch he's not so proud of. Now back to the matter at hand. If the female is infected, could the child be infected? Like I said before, orogenemia is a measure of the orogenium in blood. It seems to fluctuate heavily throughout the roster. Like I said before, this doesn't mean they are infected. I mean, Siege has a 0.14 units per liter, the highest I found on a quick search of the non-infected. Well, as I said before, Surtur only has a 0.10 units per liter. That's very low. Now, like I said before, there is a small chance that ingesting blood could cause an infection. This seems negligible. The only reason why I would say this is because, well, something could happen like this. So you have a very small, hardened piece of orogenium inside of your bloodstream. That could be a possibility. I'm not going to completely cross it out. But at the same point in time, if that's consistent enough to be a problem, the operator themselves would have enough issues with internal bleeding. So I think that Lil Doc would come out uninfected. Now, odds are their orogenemium level would be rather high for them, but if my ideas of fluctuation are correct, then there's a possibility that they could lower it over the course of time with medicine, which would probably not cause too many issues. So besides Calcip being mad at you, you're pretty much free to make your happy family headcanon all you want. Thank you all for watching. If you're liking what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe. If you couldn't tell, these theories seem to be coming mostly at random, but I really do love making them, and I really do want to keep making them. I'm just kind of slow at it. I wish I could say I could make one once a week, but I really legitimately cannot keep up at this pace. I've had like 12 hours of free time and have only talked to my friends when they went out of their way to bother me to hang out. So, yeah, kind of making me like a little annoyed, but otherwise, no, I love doing this. I just can't keep up at this pace. And I have an idea that should hopefully allow me to kind of make something about once every 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure. I started on it on about a week ago now, and I think I'll be able to get it out next week, maybe. I'll see how it goes, but I have a little idea for some stuff. Thank you all for watching.